Hey everyone, hope all is well. In this video, we will know how to implement swipe action and also how to implement the delete operations using mutation function from RTK. So let's get started. First, we will need to implement the swipe action. We will need to install or add React Native gesture handler. We will add it with yarn. Let's add React Native gesture handler. Press enter. After that, we will go to user item and implement this design. When we swipe, we will have bottom with this icon. Now we can wrap this with gesture handler root view from React Native gesture handler. Also, we will need the swipe tag. There's a linter who can actually format the code. We can talk it and later on another video. It will be really helpful on formatting the code and organize it. For the swipe tag, we will need to, it will be from the React Native gesture handler as well. And for swipeable, we can define the swipe actions. It might be left or right. For this demo, we will need a right action. So let's do it. Render right actions. And here we can define a function to render it. We will need to add touchable opacity because we will need to implement on press. Here on press, we will need to pass the onDelete function. And because on React Native or the Redux, it's one way from the parent to child, we will need to add another prop here, which call onDelete pressed. It will be function return void. We will pass it from the parent, which is the list component, to the user item, and add it here. Inside touchable opacity, as you see, we can add a view with this specific style, and inside this view we will add this icon. So the view with a style, and we can call it user item style dot swipe container. Inside this view, we will add icon, and the name of it will be trash. We can identify the size, and 24 will be sufficient. And also we can define what exactly is the color needed. So here it's white. Now we can define the swipe container style and user item style here. The items is centralized. We can add align items to be centered and justify content to be center as well. Background color will be red. Margin can be 8, and we can add padding, for example 10. And as you see here, we need to add border radius. Border radius can be, for example, 5. Need to import the icon. This is from Font Awesome. And now we can just pause the render write actions function here. Now what we exactly want to do is passing the on delete pressed from the parent, which is user list, to the child user item child. Identify the function here on delete pressed. So far it will be empty function until we define the functionality of delete, but now we can pass it to the child. I run the application and I found that we will need to update some stuff related to the design. What we can do actually to this swipe container, we need to define it to take the all height of this cell, right? And we can add another view to make it centralized for this view. So we can get rid of this, just comment it because we will need it in another view. Now we can add flex to 1 and just add the background to illustrate what exactly I mean. Now, after you added this, now this view already has the same height for this cell, right? Now we can add another view to have a style for swipe button. Style and add a user style dot to call it swipe button and it will be wrapped for the icon. Add the style and user item style here. And we will take this, just added it here. And also we need to centralize this view. After that, we will need to identify what exactly the width and height for this view. So the width might be 48 and height will be the same. This is the design. Now we can move to the functionality itself. The next step will be update the user API slice. So for this, we will need to make a minor update for the get users slice. Instead of just identify the provide tags with users, we can map it to ID and define the result, errors, and R's. And the purpose, let's define it and elaborate what exactly will be the purpose. So far, it will be something like this. Provide tags will has result, and it might has also error, but we will not use it here, so we will add underscore error. And also it can has arguments. Here we will check if result the data, if it's already exists. So let's define it as result the data dot map, and we will take or deconstruct the ID from it. and define the type users, which is the tags we added, as constant, and the ID. I will reiterate all these stuff for users, and the ID here will be list. Otherwise, it will be directly the tags. Just type users ID lists. Well, in this code is define the provide tags with which is take the result, error, and argument. And for this, we only will need the result, so we added the error and arg underscore before it. And the purpose of this function is to return an array of objects that represent the result of a query. These objects contain tags that can be used for caching purpose. So that if the same query is made again in the future, the result can retrieve from the cache instead of making a new request, right? This is why we added this result data of map and check it. We just check if it's already existed before. We will do this. Otherwise, we will just add it as tags instead of receiving it or retrieving it from the cache. So the functions first check if there is any data in the result object by using the optional chaining operator like this. And as I mentioned before, it's only guard the application not crash if there is no data inside the result. Okay. If there is data, the function create an array object with tags that correspond to each user in the data, as well as a tag for list of all the users. And if there is no data in the result object, the function simply returns an array with a single object representing the tag for the list of all users, like here. Okay, now let's jump to define the delete user mutation function. It will be after get users. Let's call it delete user. And here we will use the mutation function. So builder dot mutation. And for the query, we will need to pass the ID because when we need to delete specific item, we need something unique. And in this example, the unique thing or key is ID key. Now it's time to define what exactly is the URL for this operation. And if we go back to the website, we use it for this demo. And if we go to the Swagger, and navigate to the delete operation, we will find that it will take ID as prompt. Now we can define the URL. It will be users backslash the ID. After that, it's time to define what exactly is a method, and it will be delete method. We can take it from operation, this enum. The last thing we need to define is invalidate tags. And for invalidate tags, the property of the mutation function is used to specify which query results should be invalidate when this mutation is executed. Here, it refetches their data from the server. Here, Here it invalidates the user tags with the same ID as the deleted user. This means that any queries that have previously fetched data for this user will need to refetch their data from the server after the deletion takes place. So after the delete action happened or occurred, it will directly refetch the data from the server. And how actually we apply the invalidate tags? We just call the args, and here we can implement like identify the type, and for it will be and for sure it will be users. And the ID for this operation will be argument dot ID. Will be like this. It's time now to consume this delete user, but before that we need to export it. Like we did before with use get users query, we will use delete user mutation. Now it's time to go to a user list and know how exactly can consume use delete user mutation. So we can define a constant, and inside it we will have a couple of things. First things of the function which we will need later on. Let's call it delete user. And second thing is will be reconstructing the stuff here, like is loading, is errors, is access, and so on. So let's deconstruct it from the use delete user mutation. And we will have first thing is delete loading. So it's loading, we can call it as delete loading. And this one indicates whether the mutation is currently in progress or not. Second one will be is error, and we already have is error this one here for use get user. And to differentiate between the one for delete and one for the get, we can add alias to it, like is delete error, and this one indicates whether there was an error while executing the mutation or not. Second one will be error. We can call it delete error. And delete error contains the error object if is delete error is true. The last thing we will need will be is success. Is delete success. And this one indicates whether the mutation was successful or not. Now we can define the delete user, and if you remember on delete pressed function which is passed to the user item, we can here pass the ID and we will need to define use a state or handle a state for the ID. So here ID, set ID, and the initial value can be empty. We will need here to set ID, and here we can call the delete user function, which we defined above, and pass to it the ID. Because in the slice, API slice, we need to pass this ID to this query to be on the URL and applying the delete operation. So let's back to user list. And here we can just pass the ID, user ID. So item dot ID dot toString. Now we need to display the uploader to the user if there is a request to delete a specific user. So we can add it beside its fetching. Also, we will need or is delete loading. We will display the uploader as well. We can rerun the application. And also need to track or enable the network inspect to track the delete request. Now let's do it like this. And now we can see that the user or the passes is right. At the end, we passing the ID and the state code 204, which is successfully deleted. But I can see from the endpoint itself that when we even try to do it here at 204 means success. But if we try to execute here, it will not delete the user. That's why it's not deleted here. Let's back and see what we exactly can do if there is delete action is success or if we receive an error. Here we can use effect hook to track these properties. So the dependency here will be isDelete error and isDelete success. If there is an error, we will display alert to the user with this error. So isDelete error, we can simply display alert and display or inform users that this operation is failed or the delete is failed. And we also can get the error from the backend itself. Dot error. Else if isDelete success, we can refetch the list again or do anything here, maybe displaying another thing or change anything on the UI or stuff like that. Yeah, let's try again to see what exactly will be the result. Let's clear this and this as well and try again. Here you see it's already success with 204. So it refetched the users again with page 1. That's all for this video. Thanks for watching and have an awesome day.